Hey guys, welcome to the Bird's Nest. So, we're officially in the off season, and I know during these next, really 6 months, normal football fans will be in withdrawal because their sport is gone until, if they watch preseason games. I think those start at the end of August. Don't get me lying, I think so. But for those of us who keep an eye on everything, there's really no downtime. It might be downtime February, March. For March. Because our team, my team, Shedeur's team, needs a coach. And with that is going to come a flurry of changes. And that's all going to happen between now and February, I believe. Because there are rules to hiring a new coach. And if they want to interview coaches that are in the playoffs, and maybe even the Super Bowl, then they have to wait for them. Like, I think they could squeeze them in right now for the first interview. But then that second interview is, I think, the one that will have to wait. There's rules. I can't remember exactly what they are. The Browns have already started. They seem to be ahead of everybody else. I've heard about other teams interviewing coaches, but the Browns got a list together already of, I think it's 5 coaches that they have scheduled to interview with Thursday. And the only one on the list that I really care about is the Ravens offensive coordinator, whose name I don't remember because I don't know him, but I did look him up. I looked him up. It seems that he's been a coordinator for the Browns before. I don't think he was a head coach for the Browns before. But of course, I like his history with the Ravens, and so he's the only one, because I really would prefer an experienced head coach. But apparently that's not available, because I don't think they have any head coaches I don't think they even have any former head coaches on their list. Brian Flores doesn't have any interviews yet, and he's one of my favorites. He would be above that Ravens offensive coordinator. I think his last name is Munkin. But he doesn't have any interviews yet. But that doesn't mean anything, because they still got time. Like I said, the Browns then jumped out there. They got a lot of interviews today. You probably heard that the Baltimore Ravens, because of the offensive coordinator, allegedly, I don't always believe the story that they put out there, but allegedly, the team wanted to get rid of the offensive coordinator, and the head coach wasn't having it. He just would not get on board with that thing, and so they let them both go. And now Jim Harbaugh is the most sought after coach in the NFL. He can take any job he wants. Not only have the 6 teams that fired their head coach, the 6 teams other than the Ravens that fired their head coach, reached out to his agent immediately, but 3 other teams that have not fired their coach have reached out to him, and I assume one of them is Miami. I don't know who the other ones are. So some people think that he may be taking his time so that he can be a candidate for teams that are in the playoffs. why would a playoff team want a new coach? But hey, the Ravens were a playoff team. Anyway, we'll see. So Harbaugh doesn't have any interviews yet either, but they're trying to sort it all out, his camp, so that he can interview next week. What I did? Oops. Oh my God. So that he can interview next week. So that's what he's doing. So my top kid, but now 2 of the candidates that the Browns are interviewing today are their own offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, and their own defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. Now, Jim Schwartz has been the Browns head coach in the past, and he didn't do well. I don't know how long ago that was. Apparently, he didn't do well. This is what I heard. I didn't research him because he's already on our team. I don't know what. I don't know. All of the guys on the team want an alpha male as a coach. I don't know if that's Jim Schwartz, but they love Jim Schwartz. And the defense would like to keep Jim Schwartz. And the only way to be sure that you keep him is for him to be the head coach. Because if you bring in another head coach that's not Tommy Rees, then another head coach jeopardizes everybody's job. And the Browns say they want Tommy Rees and they want Jim Schwartz. The only way to guarantee that is for one of them to become the head coach. Tommy Rees is very young and inexperienced. We don't know what he can do because he only spent 1 year as offensive coordinator underneath Kevin Stefanski, who is a head coach who likes to call plays. Even though he's bad at it. He's bad at calling them. He's bad at creating them. He's bad. And so we really don't know. It's so much unproven on the Browns team as it exists now because of Kevin Stefanski. So that conservative play calling of his, is that what Tommy Rees would do if he wasn't with them? So I imagine when they interview Tommy, and probably when they interview any coach, they will ask them, what is your vision? What would you do about this? What would you do about that? You know, and see how his ideas differ from Kevin Stefanski. What would you do differently? So, to me, the best case scenario is to hire one of them. As desirable as John Harbaugh is, or is it Jim? They're brothers. I can't remember which one is which now. I think it's John. John Harbaugh is. Are you really ready to turn your whole organization upside down for him, knowing what y'all built? See, they see what they built last season. They had something special there with that rookie class, and Shedeur, who is a leader. For example, way back when Shedeur first came to Cleveland, he came before rookie minicamp started. Like, I think he came a week or two before rookie minicamp started, and he started training immediately by himself. You know, with his team, with his internal team, with his personal football quarterback coach. He started training. And then once rookie minicamp started, from then until the final practice, Shedeur came to practice early every day. He stayed late every day. He was doing that by himself until the other rookies started joining him. except Dylan Gabriel. I never saw Dylan Gabriel, or they never mentioned him. I never saw Dylan doing it. And I so at the time, as we're going through it, I'm like, why is Dylan not there? What does he think it's a good idea for him not to be there when the other quarterback, rookie quarterback, is doing that? Like, you gotta be as hardworking as him to beat him for the job. You know, that's what I was thinking at the time. And even though we know it didn't work out that way, and Dylan may have known ahead of time that it wasn't going to work out that way, I thought that was very odd. But that's what Shedeur used to do. And then he got the other rookies doing it. And they kept doing it. And that spread through the locker room, the respect for them and how hard they work and how bad they want it. Shedeur led that. So, and they know that. They know. And so they know that they have something special there because those guys have built something really special together. And that's why they told Mary Kay, this before, you know, like was this before the coaching situation came out? What they told Mary Kay is that they needed that quarterback situation. They needed time. They needed time to think about that. They needed time for emotions to subside because these guys love each other for real. They ride for each other and they rode for Shedeur. And Haslam and Barry know that. So that's why they told Mary Kay, we got to give it time for emotions to subside so we can view this thing rationally with this quarterback situation, because it is very important. So, everybody's like non-committal to Shedeur, non-committal to Shedeur. They don't need to commit to Shedeur right now. They got to get a coach. They probably should, but if he had really balled out, he wasn't given the opportunity. You know, the whole thing was a mess. He wasn't given an opportunity to ball out because Kevin Stefanski did not develop him, went out of his way to hinder Shedeur in terms of development. And so they knew, and I knew when Shedeur got out there, it wasn't going to be the best that it could be because he didn't have time to work with his wide receivers. That's the most important thing, not just any old reps. He needs to look at the wide receivers. He's going to have to work with them before OTAs to look good in OTAs, because he got to look good. Now he may very well be competing. Maybe. We don't even know. There's a very good chance that it's already determined that Shedeur's QB1. But he may have to compete for it, so you're going to have to come in there, because I remember last season, I thought it was weird. I was like, okay, this quarterback competition is weird. It's so many quarterbacks that they're talking about splitting reps with. So, reps are valuable, and QB1 needs reps. So the fact that they're splitting them between 4 quarterbacks, that needs to end. By the time training camp starts, they need to have named QB1. They didn't. They didn't. They took that dumb behind quarterback competition in the training camp and didn't name a QB1 until after Kenny Pickett was traded. That was, preseason had already started because Kenny Pickett was there for the Panthers game. So it wasn't until he got traded that they named Joe Flacco QB1. Went through all training camp, OTAs, mandatory minicamp, splitting reps between 4 quarterbacks. Now what that did do was give guys that would normally not get any reps, it gave them the opportunity to get reps. Because they had 4 quarterbacks, and the only way for all 4 of those quarterbacks to get reps was to utilize every single resource on the team. So guys that on normal teams might get 2 reps, a week they were getting reps every day because of all those quarterbacks that they had. But the quarterbacks that's working with those guys that would normally only get 2 reps a week, that quarterback, Shedeur, is getting the worst development because he's working with the worst talent. Steel sharpens steel. Iron sharpens iron. And Shedeur wasn't getting that. The rest of the guys were getting that. So, this year, Andrew Berry mentioned that specifically. There may be a quarterback competition. Shedeur's going to have to compete for the job. But he'll have a fair opportunity. That's not what he said. He said, there's nothing wrong with the competition. What we will do differently is the rep distribution. Because as you know, Shedeur didn't get no first team reps, and it was weeks of working his way up to getting second team reps every now and again. He mostly worked with third string and below. So Andrew said he's going to have an opportunity, and I think he will, because there are no good quarterbacks available in free agency that I'm aware of. I need to look at the find a list of quarterbacks that'll be free agents this season. There is Malik, what's his face? Who's he with? Oh my God. Is he with the Vikings right now? Malik Woods. It's Malik something with a W. He played 2 games, I think, with the Vikings. I'm not sure. Wait. No. Is it the Packers? Is Jordan Love injured? I can't remember. Oh, I hate that because that's important. Malik, what's his name, balled out the past 2 weeks. So people are thinking in this quarterback needy market right now, he's going to get him a QB1 job. And so he is probably the top free agent. That's what it's sounding like. Russell Wilson to be a free agent. And I believe somebody going to take him because there are several teams that desperately need a quarterback. And there's like 3 in the draft. And only one of them is maybe first round worthy. I don't really think he is. I think he's unproven. But they think he's first round worthy. But the other ones are not. So there's just not a lot of quarterbacks in free agency for them to get. If they get somebody and they make him compete with one of those lesser guys, I think he's going to win the job. I think he will win the job against Deshaun. I don't know what the plan is with Deshaun. You know, Deshaun, like Shedeur, is a polarizing figure also. Particularly in Cleveland. Of course, with Shedeur, he's polarizing on a global level. I have seen a rabid Browns fan from the UK. I muted him. I ain't seen him in a while. But he's a rabid Browns fan who does not believe in Shedeur. So Shedeur is polarizing on a global scale. But Deshaun is too. And even more so because, you know, people don't like Shedeur because he comes from money. They feel like he's a Nepo baby. They don't like his cockiness, confidence, whatever you want to call it. But Deshaun got allegations. And so people don't like him for that. And they shouldn't. I know my boy G. Bush think those SA allegations are okay. And he don't give a damn. He just wants somebody to play football. But I care about that, so the hell with Deshaun. You know, hey, the women took the payoff, so the price has been paid for the crime. He paid his price, okay? That's cool, all right? Because that's what they wanted, that's what they got. If they would have wanted criminal charges, they could have pursued that. They wanted the money, so he paid his price for the crime. But he's a criminal. Anyway, so we'll see what happens there. But I believe that Shedeur is still Andrew's guy, and he's going to make sure that baby get developed to death in the off season. And Shedeur is going to do his part and start working before OTAs even start. For sure. He's taking a little vacation right now. And then he's getting back to work. So I know he's going to win that job. He's going to be fine. He's a first round pick. He's a top 10 pick. So I know he's taking that job. Anyway, back to the coaches. So, everybody wants Harbaugh. Everybody knows Harbaugh. I think that's how you pronounce it. Everybody knows that Jimmy Haslam will throw his checkbook at anybody. He'll throw his checkbook. And the coach salary doesn't even affect the salary cap. So he can throw as much money as he can afford at him. And people think that, that gives Jimmy Haslam a chance to get him. It's so funny, guys. The media, the media been fighting for Kevin Stefanski. Big time. And they were really fighting for him to go to the Giants. They try to make it seem like they make the decisions for the Giants. That's how the media been acting. Very weird with the Giants and Stefanski. Talking about how desirable Stefanski's going to be. Talking about he's going to be the number one candidate for the Giants. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how y'all know? Did somebody tell you that? So now, poor Stefanski, he can't run the news cycle anymore. Because, he seems to be very connected with the media. Very. I guess the only way, one way to become connected with them is to be constantly feeding them stories like it used to do about Shedeur. Feeding them as much negative information as possible. In any event, they ain't got time for him no more because Harbaugh is out. And so now they're claiming that Harbaugh is of course he's the number one candidate for every team that wants him. But they keep talking about Giants. First was Stefanski and the Giants. Now it's Jim Harbaugh and Giants. Media, shut up. Please. But they act like the Giants' job is for him. Look, the Giants are just as bad as the Browns. But they've been good more recently. Browns ain't never really been good for any sustained period of time. I'm sorry, the Browns. If I said Giants, I meant the Browns have never been good for a sustained period of time since they came back in the league after the team that used to be the Browns moved to Baltimore. I read up on that too. That's a story too. Why they weren't the Browns in Baltimore. So, we'll see what happens with Jim Harbaugh. He's going to be very busy, but he can narrow it down. He's highly sought after, so he doesn't have to meet with every team that wants to meet with him. He can pick and choose. And we will find out if he's interested in the Browns at all. If he lets the Browns interview him, then I think they're in the running because he's from Ohio. He grew up a Browns fan. His family are Browns fans. His mother's family is from Cleveland. His father's family is from a different part of Ohio. That's where he's from. But they're all Browns fans. And he tried to draft Shedeur. Shedeur turned him down. And I told y'all, I thought that was janky. People thought that they were trying to draft Shedeur to back up Lamar. I told y'all. I don't know how many people, like I said, I say things and I don't know how many people see it. But I told y'all, this on video of me saying that the Eagles and the Ravens trying to draft Shedeur was janky. And I don't think they were drafting him to be a backup. I think they were drafting him to replace those guys. In a year, maybe 2, but I think that's what the plan was. I really do. And look what has happened. Look what has happened. From what I read, Lamar Jackson is the reason the offensive coordinator was getting fired. They tried to claim that he didn't have any problem with the head coach who was the offensive coordinator. I don't believe that. Because after the head coach got fired, Lamar did a cryptic Instagram story about the music he was playing was sort of like, you're going to learn about me. Don't cross me. They both out. So there was clearly some issues with Lamar Jackson and those coaches. So to me, it solidified my theory even more that they did not try to draft Shedeur to be a backup, because they know that Shedeur can't be a backup. I mean, he might be forced to be it, but then y'all gonna have to keep dealing with what we dealt with in Cleveland with him as a backup, which is the media being interested in your backup. Your backup being a bigger story than your QB1. And I don't think teams will mind that. Like, if their plan is, okay, we want him to replace this guy that I don't really like, and he ain't getting me to the Super Bowl, let's see if Shedeur can do it and take this job in 2 years. Let me develop him real good and let him take that job in 2 years, a year, 2 years. That's what I think was going to happen. And so I think, you know how Jason Lloyd the lunatic, that boy made a fool out of himself, but Jason Lloyd the lunatic likes to say that no coach is going to want to coach Shedeur. Why not? Because you think that coaches who are busy as hell and work more hours a day than the average bear have time to be on Twitter looking at Shedeur fans? Stopping y'all, blocking y'all, boom, bam, boom, from trying to spread false narratives about him. That's what they don't like, y'all. They don't like us, dog. We be coming with receipts because well-off media, Corey Prime, Shedeur's friends, Shedeur, Shiloh, everybody puts out a multitude of receipts. A multitude of receipts that allows us to chop down all their narratives before they can even get started. They hate that. We ain't gonna stop. And no, the teams don't care. If the Browns cared, they wouldn't have let Kevin Stefanski and his minions keep feeding negative information to the media about Shedeur. They let him. I guess it was just too much. Maybe it's too much of an onslaught. Like, they can't deal with every single narrative that comes out about Shedeur, but it be coming from the building, though. That's the good thing about Stefanski being gone. Hopefully the new coach will not be petty and will not be so attached at the hip with the media. That boy loved the media and they love him. So it is possible that Shedeur being there is appealing to Harbaugh. Maybe. So we're going to find out. I don't even want to speculate on this coach stuff. I just tell you who I want. It would be nice to have Harbaugh, but if you get Harbaugh, because he's a winner, and I would like an experienced head coach. But that means Tommy Rees is probably gone, and I don't really care about that. The problem is Jim Schwartz. You don't want the defense to take a step back because their favorite guy is gone. The guy that speaks their language is gone. So Jim Schwartz would be the bigger loss. But they would potentially be gone and probably be gone. Bill Musgrave, Shedeur's quarterback coach that has adapted to him. And I already told y'all know, Shedeur learns different. He processes information differently. Kevin Stefanski resisted that. Bill Musgrave embraced it. And he learned Shedeur's language. And he taught Shedeur in the way that he needs to be taught. So I would just really love for him to stay. But if a new head coach comes in, that whole place would just could be wiped out. It could. Unless, like people say, he's going to want to pick his own quarterback. Look, Cam's getting a new coach. Jackson Dart's getting a new coach. What other rookie quarterbacks are there? There's Shuck. He's not getting a new coach. Shuck. And Shedeur. They're the four. But 3 of the 4 rookie quarterbacks from this season are getting new coaches. And ain't none of them worried about their job except Shedeur. Because of Kevin Stefanski. So, the new coach coming in can't pick no new quarterback. So, don't give me this mess about new coaches want a new quarterback. That's not true. Okay? That is not true. The Patriots had Drake May. They got a new coach. The Bears had Caleb Williams. They got a new coach. And then they go, well, Shedeur's a 5th round pick. No, that was collusion. All these guys, they know he's a 1st round pick. That was collusion. Got him to the 5th round. That's not real. They know it's not real because they all participated in the collusion. So, I think the Browns are desirable for a coach because of that defense, this rookie class, and Shedeur. Now, we need a wide receiver. At least one. Because none of the guys on the team stepped up and took Jerry Jeudy's job. Except for Harold Fannin, and he's not a wide receiver. None of the wide receivers stepped up and took that job. So, we need a wide receiver. I want Pickens. Pickens a free agent. I want Pickens. Get Pickens. Pickens. Problem with Pickens. But most of your dog wide receivers got a little ticky boom boom. AB, one of the best wide receivers ever. That ticky boom boom, unfortunately, was so big it got him out the league. He did the mental issues with him, got him out the league. But so many fantastic wide receivers got that little ticky boom boom, and George Pickens is one of them. And as fantastic of a wide receiver as he is, he gonna get you penalties. Well, he used to. He's 25 now, so his frontal lobe is just closing. He's just coming into his adult brain. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe. He's gonna need a strong coach. It can't be no beta like Kevin Stefanski. So, I hope they get Pickens. I don't think they need a wide receiver in the draft. All these unproven people. They don't need them. You got wide receivers that you don't even know what you have in them because of Kevin Stefanski stifling them by not giving them quarterback options that can throw the ball, not letting the quarterbacks throw the ball, and keeping Jerry Jeudy out there as wide receiver 1 when he wasn't earning that job. Once you see that he's not earning that job, you got to remove him. You can't be scared to remove him. You can't be talking about no contract. You got to be like, I want to win, and you're not allowing me to do that, so you got to go. So Kevin Stefanski stifled this team in so many ways on offense. That's why he got fired. It's partially to do with Shedeur. It's like they said, he had the resources to win more games this season, and he didn't utilize them properly. That's why he's gone. He needs to be gone. Because now we got to take another season to evaluate the wide receivers when it could have been done this season. Shedeur could have been evaluated properly this season, but he couldn't because Stefanski didn't develop him. And that just trickled down. It trickled down. So, I want George Pickens. That's who I want. You know, I watched the Steelers last season. He was the wide receiver for the Steelers. He got them plenty of penalties. I want to slap the doo-doo out of him. But he knows that's a problem, and hopefully he will do better. Hopefully he did better. I think he's a Cowboy right now. And they didn't extend him, so maybe he wasn't doing better. So I hope we get him. And then we go in that draft and get every O-line we can get our hands on. Keep one O-lineman from this season, just for continuity purposes. Keep him for one season. And get another 2 or 3 veterans in free agency. So let's see what happens, guys. Just a little update. What's going on with the Browns and how they're going to put this team together for next season. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you more than you can imagine. And for those of you who haven't already, please like, comment, and most of all, subscribe for all your NFL recaps, news, and gossip. And by the way, I am going to be getting off in that gossip in the off season because we ain't got a lot of football to talk about, so we going to talk about that gossip. So, you know, I know the ladies like the gossip, fellas. I know y'all like it too. Come on and listen in. I'm going to keep y'all up to speed because we got things to talk about. We got Rashi, I don't forgot the name just all of a sudden. Y'all know Rashi, the one that done beat his woman for 8 years. And now that they broke up, she done told on him. We got Cardi B and damn Baby Maker. The Baby Maker. Him. We get, you know, we gonna be catching up on all that. So, you know, but I gotta, you know, I kind of been like not that interested in gossip since it's been football season, but football season's back over, so I'm gonna get all up in it because football players give you plenty to gossip about. But y'all have a good day. Thanks for listening. Mwah.